Yo, what is up, guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hope you guys are doing well. So, Lewis Ritson defeats Robbie Davies Jr. in a barn burner of a fight. First and foremost, credit to both men. They put on a hell of a show. Both guys had success. It was a really engaging fight throughout, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, credit to both men. Going into this fight, I did pick Lewis Ritson. I felt he would win due to his superior punching power, better punch placement and better punch technique. Eventually, I felt the pressure he would bring would be a bit too much for Robbie Davies Jr. and potentially he would stop Robbie Davies Jr. late on. But to his credit, Robbie Davies Jr. in this fight done a lot better than I expected. So yeah, he deserves some credit. First 3 rounds were absolute war, carnage, chaos. Great rounds to watch. Back and forth. Robbie Davies Jr. actually tried to smother Lewis Ritson and take the fight to him while pushing him back. As we know, Lewis Ritson isn't the most effective on the back foot. And Robbie Davies Jr. tried to aggressively push Lewis Ritson back. And he tried to do that using his size. He was trying to maneuver Lewis Ritson around the ring while sticking on his chest and basically maintaining a really good punch output. That was the game plan for Robbie Davies Jr. And it did make a lot of sense, in certain parts of this fight that was working. But, the first 3 rounds in particular were great. The volume of punches you would lead towards Robbie Davies Jr., but the more eye-catching shots, the better quality shots, the harder shots certainly came from Lewis Ritson. There were great exchanges in the first 3 rounds. Both guys had their moments. Like I say, first 3 rounds were absolute carnage. After round 3, the fight calmed down a little bit. Both guys weren't quite as gung-ho, and I think that was mainly because both guys realised they couldn't maintain that pace for 12 rounds. Just impossible. The way these two were fighting in the first 3, if they carried on that way, one of these guys would have got stopped. And yeah, they realised they couldn't do that, so they adjusted. And after round 3, it became more of a boxing match. There were still some good exchanges here and there. Lewis Ritson was landing hard shots. The left hook in particular was a great shot for Lewis Ritson. That was his money punch, and Robbie Davies Jr. never adjusted to that left hook from Lewis Ritson. And it was basically mainly down to the fact that, Robbie Davies Jr. carries a lowish right hand and he's open for that left hook. And he was getting caught with it so often. All he needed to do to prevent this, or at least minimise the amount of times he was getting caught with that shot, was to, raise that right hand, glue it to his chin. He would have blocked half of those left hooks if he'd done that. So, Robbie Davies Jr. should have made that adjustment from earlier on, because basically that was a theme in this fight from round 1 to round 12. That left hook was always there for Lewis Ritson, and he landed countless of those shots in this fight. Several eye-catching left hooks were landed by Lewis Ritson, and for me that was the kind of tale of a fight. Lewis Ritson in certain parts of a fight was getting outworked, but he was always the guy, in my opinion, who was landing the harder shots. He had Robbie Davies Jr. buzzed on a few occasions here and there, whereas, Robbie Davies never really hurt Ritson. To me, Ritson was just doing the better work. Yes, Robbie Davies, a lot of quantity, but for me, for the most part, Lewis Ritson was landing the quality work. And ultimately, I think that's why he won this fight. I wasn't scoring it, to be honest with you. I just watched the fight and enjoyed it. But my gut feeling was that Lewis Ritson won that fight, and he won it fairly clearly, to be honest with you. But regardless, it was a really good fight. Robbie Davies Jr. put up a hell of an effort. He did better than I expected, so credit to him. And also credit to Lewis Ritson. I think he has shown some improvements since that first defeat to Francesco Patera. Lewis Ritson, I've noticed recently, is making more of a assault on the body. You know, he's body punching a lot more now, which is good. I've also noticed Lewis Ritson try to incorporate some head movement in his game, and also just trying to fight with a bit more fluidity, you know, a bit more rhythm in his work. And I noticed that in this fight with Robbie Davies Jr. and even the fight before, when Lewis Ritson fought a lower level guy, I noticed him working on a few things. And yeah, I certainly believe he's a better fighter now than he was a year ago, Lewis Ritson. I think he has improved in some way. Not drastic improvements, but he's certainly a better fighter than he was a year ago. But having said that, I still believe the flaws are there. You know, defensively, despite him improving in some way, he's still there to be hit, let's be honest about it. Also, he is a little bit predictable at times as well. You know, he'll throw the same combinations. He doesn't really throw feints to set up his work. So, you know, his offense is a little predictable at times, in my opinion. You know, Lewis Ritson, like I say, he's got a great jab, a great ramrod jab, and that's what he bases his game on. He'll work behind that jab, which is good, but, you know, we need more variety from his offense. So throw a feint now and again, you know, vary that jab, you know, change levels with it, body to head, you know, just mix things up a bit more and be a little bit less predictable, you know. Lewis Ritson is never going to be like a Mike Tyson type. He's not going to be a dynamic, destructive fighter, but subtle changes can go a long way. And hopefully we get to see some further improvements from Lewis Ritson in the coming fights. But we will see. This fight was actually billed as a WBA super lightweight eliminator. I'm not sure whether it's a final eliminator, but potentially Lewis Ritson is in line to fight the winner of Regis Prograis versus Josh Taylor. Now, from a financial perspective, that's a great fight for him. Is it a great fight for him in terms of him actually having a realistic chance of winning? Absolutely not. I think he gets smoked by both. But there we go. Share your thoughts below. Peace.